All right, Naddie, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my topic was how Walt Disney's childhood affected the building of an enterprise. And because Walt Disney did so much for the company, I'm only talking about his childhood and then up until the point he created Mickey Mouse, just because he did so much more for the company. And I really want to focus on how his poor childhood affected the rest of this. So, Walter Elias Disney was born December 5th, 1901. He would grow up to create a world of freedom with characters and animals and just this fun living of this just way of living where everything was happy. So, it was made to escape the strife and struggle of the everyday world, and his can-do attitude led him to become the person he is today. So his one small idea became so powerful that soon the whole world would know who he was. He was referred to by many as a man known for understanding what kids love despite having such a difficult childhood. He took very few family vacations, and this is his dad, Elias, and his mom. And Elias was a very harsh father, but ever since their ancestors, they had been known as a hardworking family. And so Elias really believed in getting a job, working, and because of Elias's their whole family's poor financial status, all the work and money that Walt made and Roy made and the rest of his siblings went to Elias. He took their money. So his father owned a paper route, and Walt had to work for that, and basically didn't get any of the money from the paper route. So he made a quote saying, when his father owned a paper route, he would wake up in the middle of the night having nightmares about having to trudge through snowdrifts up to his neck, or having to redeliver papers that somehow had been missed or hadn't been delivered. So he had a really hard childhood with that, and then also his father beat him almost every day, like was previously said as well. And then while most of his childhood was rough, there was one place that impacted his life and would soon become our Main Street USA. So this is Marceline, Missouri, and this is where Walt would say he grew up. This was his childhood home, even though he was only there for a couple of years. This impacted his way of looking at it was his love of railroads, his love of a small town, and he lived on a farmhouse there, and that's where he fell in love with the characters and animals, and where he kind of started doing his drawings and stuff. He dropped out of school in 8th grade and lied about his age to work for the ambulance corps over in France during World War I. And this kind of affected how he also became more mature, and he was able to be away from his father too, so that helped. When he came back, he started working for an animation company, and this is his friend Oob, and they began their own company after the company in Kansas City failed, making their Laugh-O-Grams, which was his first. This was his kind of helped him rise to fame in a way. However, these didn't last very long because he wasn't able to sell them anymore in Kansas City. So like any aspiring celebrity did, he moved to Hollywood, where he started a company with his brother Roy. This is Roy, this is Walt. They started a company called the Disney Bros, or Brothers. And the reason, this is when it became really successful, and the reason it became so successful was because Roy did all the financial work, and Walt was horrible at finances and stuff. So this was his first character, Oswald, which you may think looks a lot like Mickey. And Oswald became really famous. He was doing really well, and Walt realized that he kind of got scammed by someone that was helping him with publicity. And she realized that she owned the rights to this character, and so her and her husband took this character and told Walt that they would now be making movies. So Walt decided from that point on that no one would ever own any piece of his work. So this is the original Walt Disney Studios, and this is where the Disney Bros and then the Walt Disney Studios started. And they had a few employees, and then this is the new one in Burbank. And this one, they made it, Walt believed in family. He kind of, because of his childhood, he wanted to create this sense of family. And so he made this basically like city and made his own family. So this is Mickey. This is what really rose Walt to fame. And this is like one of the first drawings and those ones, and then obviously he's changed throughout the years. But Mickey Mouse has had many different looks over the years, and it took Walt months to get him right, but Walt didn't actually draw him most of the time. It was usually Oop. But much like Walt's character, the mouse represents someone with this large personality but a small body. So this is how he became famous. Then I just added some pictures so you guys can see like the development and how Walt was so close to his character. And then ever since then, Walt Disney has grown into this huge enterprise and created some of these movies that you might recognize.
All right, thank you, Naddie. Questions for Naddie? So obviously Walt had a tough childhood, and honestly, the vast majority of people who had experienced a childhood like that probably would not have turned out obviously this well, but certainly maybe would have gone quite a bit in the opposite direction. What was it about Walt, do you think, that helped him kind of lead him in this direction and not towards a more negative?
Like what motivated him?
Yeah.
So I read this huge biography on him by Neil Gabler, and basically what drew him to become the person he is known as today was basically not wanting to become his father. So the whole Disney family kept failing and failing. His father wanted to be a carpenter and failed at that, so he just kept moving. His father kept moving his family around for new jobs, basically to get money. And so Walt actually had a job that would have paid very well at a Jello factory called Zello in Chicago. But because he had these big aspirations and dreams of becoming this other person and not wanting to work under his father and be in that situation again where his father was in control, he decided to follow his dreams. And luckily, he succeeded in that. Otherwise, he probably would have been working under his father and had to deal with that struggle again.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Naddie. Sue, I think it's you. Yep. You got this. That's right.